Hey, good morning. How are you? This is Alan here, and I want to give a couple book reviews. This is really important, and everybody should really listen to this or watch this or get it, and I love your input, as I'll see in the end. Anyway, I'm going to go over two books here. One is Tony Robbins. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. His book, Life Force. He talks about your health, about your life within you, all this kind of thing. But anyway, what he talks about is action. He's a man of action, and I love that. But he has, these are complementary or alternative healthcare treatments to basically any kind of disease, any kind of condition. I love it. He goes over a lot of different things. What I want to talk about today is stem cell therapy. Because I am doing stem cell therapy this Wednesday. And so I've been reading about this. I've heard about it for years. But now, anyway, so Tony Robbins, he's got a whole chapter devoted to stem cell therapy. A lot of it pertains to other stuff too. One thing I don't like about it, it's very commercial. He mentions a lot of particular people and businesses and companies that he's familiar with, and I don't know if he wants you to go buy their stock or anything like that, but anyway, but he is a huge fan of this, and he also had helped write it as well. Peter Diamandis and Robert Hariri. This came out in 2022, a couple years ago. Another one. Now he's about action, about doing things. Here's another one. You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. He talks about healthcare. Our mind, and a lot of you may agree, our mind is our most important, our most powerful healing mechanism of action. More than drugs, you get emergency surgery, you need emergency surgery. But for chronic conditions, even for acute conditions, Joe Dispenza, they both had medical illnesses. Tony Robbins, he had an issue with his rotator cuff, and he had chronic pain many years, in pain for 14 years until he had this therapy. And then Dispenza was on a biking accident, and doctors told him he'd never walk again. And they said surgery and this and that. He said no. So what Joe did is he said he got a friend of his to take care of him. He went home, got in bed, and he used his mind to heal his body. I find that pretty freaking phenomenal. So Joe Dispenza is about feeling, about thinking, about imagining. You know, if you say, how many people have you run into? Well, I've got this, I've got that, I got diabetes, I have multiple sclerosis, granted, that might be the diagnosis that your doctor gave you, but by stating that, you're reaffirming your medical condition every time you speak a certain condition. I can't get around, I have arthritis, I can't go upstairs anymore, I have to use a walker every time, I can't do this, I can't do that, I have this or I have that. You never want to use that kind of mentality, according to Joe Dispenza and others. So basically, he's saying that he uses his mind. Now, we're talking about stem cell therapy. I've decided to, I pulled the trigger on the stem cell therapy, and I'm getting it done in a couple of days. And I'm also doing research on what I can do to best augment my own body's capability to maximize its efficacy. So, no alcohol, I don't smoke anyway, but I have to cut out alcohol for a period of time. Sleep is important, exercise is important. Your body actually produces, you can actually produce stem cells in your body. Now, what are stem cells? You may ask that question. Stem cells are the cells that are before differentiation into other tissues. They can be sorted into other tissues. Now, Tony Robbins says that it could be, and with other doctors that do this, he's quoting them, saying that stem cell therapy could be a life-limiting step. It could be part of our life-limiting procedures, stem cell. There's other things, hormonal therapy, DNA damage, telomeres, and all that jazz. There's other mechanisms, other theories about aging, limiting it. Why are we limited to 120 years, or a little bit over 100 years? He says, but science is getting through that. I'm pretty excited about this. So what Tony Robbins is doing, he's using it for his shoulder and for his pain. Joe Dispenza used it to heal after a biking accident. Stem cells can be rejuvenating. They anti-aging is a big thing. Joint repair, immune system, cardiovascular health, increase in vitality, increase in cognition, increased stamina. Now we all have stem cells. Just a quick refresher: we all have stem cells circulating in our body even now, no matter what age you are. However, at birth, you've got 1 cell per 10,000 cells of tissue in the bone marrow of a newborn. And as you grow older, by the time you're 60, it's only 1 in 2 million. So in other words, what it used to be to do is take your own blood, take your own tissue, or possibly from your own blood marrow, and you would siphon that down, and you would concentrate a certain degree of it. But the stem cells are older, they're worn out, they're not as fresh, and you've got less of them per milliliter of tissue. So the best way to do it, and it's not FDA approved, but they're not taking action on it. There's thousands of clinics across the U.S. that are doing it both with the autologous, your own tissues, and there's some that are doing it also with embryonic or umbilical tissue, placental tissue, which has the highest concentration. So what I'm going to do is on Wednesday, I'm going to have a systemic. You can also inject it directly into the joints if you have joint pain. I don't have any serious issues. I've had a couple injuries lately. I've had a hip damage. I've had both my feet. I think I broke one foot, and I think I strained the other foot. I didn't go to the doctor. I think it's gradual healing. It's been months. One of them's been paining me for quite a while. Anyway, so I expect to have that healed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stem cell therapy. I'm going to use clean living, eating, and all that jazz. But I'm also going to use Dispenza's approach about imagining where those stem cells are going, imagining what they're going to do, imagining the power in my own body to heal itself. Now, I don't have any major issues going on. I'm pretty healthy. I'm not taking any medication except a little statin my doctor talked me into. So what I can't do what I used to do when I was 45. I get, a bit more tired in the yard, working in the yard, cutting trees down and that sort of thing. And so I'm going to expect to see increase in stamina and vitality, energy, mental clarity, thinking, remembering. That's what I expect. That's what I hope to see. And also any pains I'm going to have, anything I do have going on in my body, including my acute conditions I have going on right now, will be hopefully eliminated within days. At least that's what I'm telling myself. That's what I'm believing. That's what I'm hoping for. And also increase, it may last 6 months to 2 years or longer. This could be a permanent thing, potentially. There needs to be more studies on it, of course, but I think I'm to the point where, worst case scenario, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help. And I'm out some money, a significant amount of money. But anyway, if anybody out there has an opinion or has some training or has some experience with either yourself or somebody that you know with stem cell therapy, whether it's positive or negative, I'd love to hear from you. So private message me. And if you're interested in this kind of stuff about how I'm an ex-pharmacist, I'm still a pharmacist, I don't practice anymore, I maintain my license, but as a pharmacist, drugs are not the way to go. They're not the avenue to healing that the FDA wants you to believe. When we stop taking the medication, what happened? The symptoms come back. Drugs are great at covering up symptoms. I try not to take anything, even ibuprofen, unless it really, really hurts me. So what I'm doing is I'm using stem cell therapy and healthy practices and that sort of thing, and I'm using my brain to maximize my effectiveness on my body. And if you want to I would recommend reading these books. This is rather detailed. You Are the Placebo, but it talks about how can I use my mind, and it's free. Your mind is there all the time, and it doesn't cost you anything. So let's train your way of thinking about thinking positive, thinking vitality, and thinking about healing from your body. And then there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a little caveat. It's quite commercial, but it's good. Tony Robbins knows what he's talking about. He used it himself with great success. Dispenza also, he's fine. No repercussions. If he had listened to his doctors, he wouldn't be doing what he's doing right now. And he would be, no telling what condition he'd be in. But it's pretty exciting. So I'd love your input. If you have any at all, you know how to reach me. Take care. Thanks for watching.